Hello, welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Club. What's going on, everybody? Well, how I like to get my video podcast always started with a moment of silence, followed by a serenity prayer for the addict who still suffers. So, if you would, a moment of silence, please. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Alrighty, well, let's get started. How's it going, everybody? Well, I'm back. I had a couple of days off. I hadn't posted any videos or anything like that because, man, I was kind of catching up on some stuff. Then I was feeling a little under the weather, so I took the weekend off. I figured, I'm gonna come back on Monday and get back on it, and so here we are. And so I, you know, we're in the holiday season, and the holiday season is always a kind of a big deal for anyone struggling with any type of neurological brain disorder, and like myself, and for me, that just happens to be, um, dealing with childhood traumatic experiences, dealing with PTSDs, and dealing with drug addiction, and I'm grateful and happy to say that today I'm clean and sober, and I can only have done that through my spiritual experiences and with the help of people in my recovery community. You know what I mean? And I, uh, I'm grateful for that because we're coming up on Christmas, and I can remember plenty of Christmas holidays when I was in the addiction that just weren't that it just wasn't that great, for me personally. I would emotionally be going through a bunch of stuff that nobody knew about, and it was hard to explain those types of things, but it's like you're there, but you're not there in a sense, and you know you're you're just going through the motions of being happy, and for the sake of your family, sake of your kids, and for the sake of just keeping your household. I guess you know you don't want nobody knowing that you're struggling in one shape or form or anything like that. But I can remember plenty of times, being, just where the addiction was just too much, and the struggles of me thinking about things of the past, and the anxieties, and then just being depressed for why I had no idea. Just feel the feeling of a depression and sadness, and I had no idea why I was feeling like that. You know what I mean? And it just bothered me. So uh, for me not to feel that, I would use. When I used, I didn't feel like that. When I used, I felt engaged in the holiday in a sense, and so it's tough. It's tough in the holiday season because, especially for an addict, because you all you know is the use. All you know is holidays come up, celebrations come up. That means using. That means alcohol. That means drugs. To me, personally, and so it was a hard thing to kind of understand why I was struggling with feeling anxiety, feeling depression, feeling sadness, and even feeling anger. And I had no idea why. And then all I knew is that if I used, I didn't feel it. So it, it can be a struggle, and in a sense, it could be, holidays can be a trigger. You know what I mean? They really can. And so I just wanted to, I guess, kind of touch base a little bit on how I plan to deal with the holidays, or how I'm dealing with the holidays this season, and maybe this will help somebody else out in their struggle, and so that it's not such a terrible, month, if you will. Um, but I have a few things that I've been doing here as of late is I've been listening to more podcasts, encouraging podcasts, whether it is a motivational podcast, whether it is a um, someone who's talking about recovery, or just spirituality, and I've been reading a few books. All I'm going to show you guys the books that I've picked up that I've been reading, and one of the books that I picked up is called The Science of Self-Realization. This is the book right here, Science of Realization. And another book is called The Optimisfits. This book here. This one's a really good book. I've gone through probably, I don't know, maybe up to the 7th chapter on that book so far. And the one I'm reading here currently today is I'm trying to read the rest of this book here, which is The Way of Serenity. And this one's based on the Serenity Prayer. This is a really good book. I really recommend this book. And because I love the way that it breaks down the Serenity Prayer, and how it breaks it down, and how it interacts with how your life is, and your journey of recovery, and getting out of that darkness. And this is a really, really good book. So this has really helped me this month, because I just started reading it last week, and man, it's a moral pick me up, if you will. So I really have been enjoying this book here, and so I encourage, that's one of the things that I'm doing is I'm reading positive spirituality books, and self-help books, in a sense. This self-realization book, I'm probably on the 4th chapter of this book too, and man, it's an intriguing book, but it's talks about how you become how to become serene within oneself, and explore you, and it's a journey of inner being, so that you can do positive things, that where you can look in inward, and then things start reflecting outward. It's a really good book. But I've been doing that, reading quite a few books, and then, like I said, doing the podcast things, and then doing my video podcast has really been one of the major key factors in keeping myself away from those negative boundaries. And so I've been really setting positive boundaries, and making it a point to set them from sun up to sundown, and doing a lot of journaling. A lot of people may not think that journaling is good, but journaling is a dynamic way of moving forward in your recovery, because it's something that you can always go back to. And me personally, I'll write things down, and I write down the date, and the day, and the month, and because I want to be able to go back, after my month of journaling, I'll go back and read from the beginning of the month, and how much I've progressed along the way. Because it's interesting that you'll start to notice the writing that you're putting into your journal starts becoming more, it just starts becoming better, in a sense. You know what I mean? You find out that you're starting to, write things down. You're starting to sound like these people on the podcast. You know what I mean? The guys that are encouraging you, then the girls and the guys who are doing these podcasts and stuff like that, and who are writing these books. If you're starting to sound like them, well, then I understand that, and I recognize that, and I say, man, they're encouraging me. Now I'm sounding like them, and I think that's progress. You know what I mean? Because I'm the actions that are coming out of the things that I'm thinking are starting to be positive and starting to be, you know, they're starting to be healthy boundaries and stuff. So it's a really good way to reflect back and to see, kind of gauge to see how your progress is going, because it's hard to differentiate progress when you're just thinking, you know, living your daily life, you know, because sometimes you do feel stagnant. Sometimes you do feel like, okay, I'm doing this. It's kind of boring now. I mean, what am I, you know, sometimes it feels like you're spinning your wheels. But if you go back and look at the journal, you'll realize that you're not. You'll realize, like, oh, gosh, man, I already read 3 books. I've never read 3 books ever. I mean, as a matter of fact, right now, the 3 books that I just showed you, I've never had even I've never done that before, ever in my life. Have I ever had 3 books that I'm reading at the same time? You know what I mean? And to me, that's progress. You know what I mean? Because that those are healthy boundaries that I'm putting into my recovery arsenal, if you will. I love to say that because that's you know, when I feel like I'm recovering things that I've lost, right, to the addiction, and I'm I call it my recovery arsenal. That things that I'm starting to do in the positive, I'm putting those away, and those are things that I can take out at any minute to share with somebody. And that is the thing is that for an addict to share what has helped him or her along the way to get to where they're at in their sobriety is key to helping someone else get to that first step. You know what I mean? And it's weird how that works, but it works. You know, I don't know why it works, and all I know is that it works. You know what I mean? The more I read, the more podcasts I listen to, the more meetings I attend, the more stories that I hear at these meetings. You know, all of that stuff. It's just you're just putting all these positive things in your path that you have no time for that negative stuff. You have no time for the darkness. And it's weird because for me personally, that happens as soon as I wake up. You know, I wake up in the morning. As soon as I get up, I got this big cross on my wall that when I look up, the cross has this big uh, heart thing that I drew up on there, and it's got the serenity prayer. So the first thing that I do when I get up is that's the first thing that I see. And that's the first thing that I say when I get up. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And when I wake up like that, for me personally, that automatically, you know, puts my mind in, okay, recovery mode. Now let's go. What's next? Excuse me. So, you know, as soon as I see that, if that's the very first thing I see in the morning, to me that's a positive thing, and that's a reminder right away. Okay, bam, what's going on? What's on the agenda for the day? What are we gonna do? Okay, so then I'll get up and I'll do my stretching. I'll start meditating, and then I'll, you know, do some exercise, and you know, my day goes. And if I have any appointments, like today, you know, I had an audiology appointment that I had to go do for the VA. So, you know, I did my prayer and did a little bit of stretching, and bam, then I was off. You know, I didn't have time to do a full-blown meditation or any of that stuff. So, you know, I'll do that later on in my day. I'll throw that back into to my schedule. And but you know, I finished my appointment, and then I decided to come and, you know, okay, well, let me go ahead and do the video podcast, and you know, get back on track with that. And so it just, that's how my day starts, and that's how my day goes. You know what I mean? One thing reminds me of another thing, and then it just keeps me on that positive note. And that's key for me, is doing those positive things on a repetitious basis is what's going to keep you firmly, you know, engaged, and keeps you from veering off. Because the moment that you start, you know, putting your recovery down and your spirituality down, when you put that stuff down and put it on the back burner and decide that, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and do, today just whatever I got, whatever I'm gonna do, I guess, uh, like your regular stuff that you used to do in a sense. Okay, well, I'm gonna call John and see what he's doing. I'm gonna go by and see what's up, and then I know that John's a user, and why am I gonna do that? Why am I gonna call him? Why am I gonna go over there? You know what I mean? I'm bored. I want to just go over there and hang out with the guy for a minute. No, I know exactly what goes on over at John's. So why would I do that? And those are the types of things that you make yourself aware of, and you have to be open-minded. You have to be willing, and you have to be truthful about where you want to go and what you want to do. And it's key to keep that enthusiasm moving and changing on a repetitious basis, because as addicts, a lot of us, we get bored pretty fast. You know what I mean? So you have to start putting in a whole lot of new, different, and be open to doing new things. That's one of the things that I'm also doing, is that I've got so many things that I'm doing. I mean, I got peer support groups that I go to. Yeah, I got 2 peer support groups that I go to during the week. I go to 3 different meetings, and I go those voluntarily. The meetings I do voluntarily, and I do them because I'm trying to find myself a home group. So the only way to find a home group is if you go to a meeting, and a lot of people they don't like meetings. They think that it's kind of like maybe it's, I don't know. They think that it's people shove the book down their throat, or maybe it's a Jesus freak gathering, or whatever the hell they think. You know what I mean? But to be honest with you, if you go and just sit there and listen, and just keep going back, you'll be amazed at how your life starts transforming. And because I know at first, man, I was like, man, what am I doing here with all these old dudes? Sitting here listening to these people's stories, like, oh man, you guys are pussies. Y'all don't know what's up. But later down in my life, then I wind up being just like that, and I'm like, wow, what happened? What happened was that I couldn't manage my life due to my addiction. That's just the bottom line. And as an addict of any sort, that's exactly what happens, and that's exactly what's going to happen if you don't pay attention to that and do something about it. And you have that's one of the things that you have to, because if you do nothing, then guess what? Nothing happens. You're going to be in that same situation every single day, and eventually, just like the book says, you'll wind up in jails, institutions, or death. And man, I've been in jails, I've been in the institutions, and the only thing that hadn't happened to me is the death part. And I praise God that He hasn't decided to take me just yet. And so if I'm still here, then I'm going to keep doing these video podcasts and trying to spread the message, trying to share what has helped me along the way to get into recovery, into the world of positivity, so that maybe it could help somebody like you. So yeah, I can understand. I know that it gets hard during the holidays, especially, and if you're struggling, just know that if you take a little bit of time, listen to one of these podcasts of somebody talking about inspiration, talking about spirituality, talking about recovery, just listen to these stories. You know what I mean? There's plenty of them online, and I appreciate you guys listening to mine. I really do. And at this time, please, if you would, please hit the like button. Shoot me a message if you ever want me to talk about another topic or whatever. Or just let me know how you're doing. If you would, please subscribe to my channel, because the more subscribers that I get, the more people that we can help, and that we can get the message out to. So that is my goal here, is to get the message out to as many people as I can, and to hopefully we can bring all of us who are in the world of addiction to the world of positivity and recovery. That would be a great deal, man, and that's why I do it. So, I've been involved in the drugs and alcohol and all of those types of things since I was a little kid, and man, my dad died of drugs and alcohol, so I've got a lot of experience in that, if you would, and but that's why I do it, because I know how the darkness can be, but I know that when you're in this side of the positive, recovered world, it is 10,000 times better than being in that darkness. I can guarantee you that. And I couldn't have done it without my spirituality, connection, and my recovery connection. So those two things intertwined are just going to be key to moving your life forward, and it's key to moving my life forward. And I'm just grateful that I'm here doing this podcast videos, sober and clean and connected spiritually and connected to my recovery community, and anything I can do to help, man, I try to do so. So I know that this time of the year can be, kind of a struggle. So if you're struggling, man, just know, get to a meeting, get to a church-based meeting, or get to an NA meeting, get to an AA meeting, or just call your local community line. There's local community lines that got help for. There's plenty of programs, and especially in the holiday season, they're here, they're there, and people won't turn you away. They'll show you love, I can guarantee it. And if you're in the San Antonio area, man, there's a group downtown, and they have a meeting every single day at 1:30, and it's off the East Street in McCullough. It is across the Episcopal Church downtown, and I think the Esperanza group holds, the Somos Milagros group holds their meetings there sometimes. I think 2 days out of the week, but every day they got for the newcomer, it's called, and every day they have a meeting there at 1:30. And man, this Christmas Eve they're supposed to be having the meeting 24 hours. There's going to be somebody there 24 hours for those of you who are struggling, and it's a place to go by, get you some cup of coffee, somebody to talk to. It's a positive place. They'll show you love, I can guarantee you that. And so I guess that's going to be it for today's podcast. So I really appreciate you guys listening. And again, please subscribe to my channel. Just know that when you do, you'll be helping out another addict, another homeless person, another veteran, another, person struggling with anxiety, depression, PTSDs. Just know that. So all you got to do is tap the button, and that's it. It doesn't cost you a thing. So I really appreciate it. And until the next time on When the Smoke Clears, I am the Recovery Plug.